everyone. So I think we have all of our university representatives at the moment. So thank you so much, Tara, for like starting some introductions. But I think at this point, I'm happy to start. And then if anybody joins throughout, I'm happy to do so. And like I said previously, this event will be recorded anyway. So if anybody wants to see it afterwards and get access to that information, they can do that. So I'm going to start the recording now. Okay, so first of all, thank you all so much for attending today. So this is our final event for the Access to Excellence series, and this one is specifically looking at connecting Jamaican talent in the UK and in Jamaica to international study in both the UK and Jamaica as well. And it's also a bit more general as well, so we'll be looking at postgraduate, undergraduate as well, so really something where everyone can be involved. So just a little bit about the running order of this evening. So we're going to start off with some introductions so you can know who is representing where and who everybody is, learn a little bit more about Reconnect JA as well. And then we'll go right into the essentials of applying to universities, what things you need to be aware of when it comes to your applications, how to find universities, those entry requirements, and all of those bits and bobs. Then we're going to go into the diversity of universities in both the UK and in Jamaica, and that's where we will look specifically also at the universities that we have represented within this evening as well. So we'll learn a bit about them a bit more in depth. And finally, we're going to end with scholarships and funding, and we found a lot of scholarships and funding, especially for those in Jamaica who are interested in studying in the UK. And we also managed to find a few funds for those in the UK wanted to study at University of West Indies. We'll have Q&As throughout. We'll have short Q&As throughout each section. And then if there's anything that's left towards the end in terms of questions, then there'll be a dedicated section to be able to answer those as well. So a little bit of housekeeping. So we would love it if cameras could be on and mics could be off unless you're speaking. But I'm also aware that because of bandwidth, cameras on can sometimes be difficult. So whatever you're most comfortable with. We would love it if you participated as well. We want to make this as interactive as possible. So ask questions, whether they're in the chat or whether they are asking them verbally, and also share your experiences and your opinions as well. We also have Tara monitoring the chat as well, and she'll be sending links throughout this event. And also for any of those who will be watching this event after it's actually done, then we will share those links in a kind of resource pack, so to speak. And also professional behavior. So refrain from doing anything that is inappropriate, discriminatory, or would make like an unwelcoming environment. So why are we here this evening? So we have 4 main reasons why we're here. So we wanted to leave the audience with a very clear understanding of what is needed to apply to universities in the UK and in Jamaica. We also want to give a very clear overview of the diversity of UK and Jamaica universities. So when you're trying to think, oh, okay, I really want to study in the UK or I really want to study in Jamaica, you have an understanding of actually every university is very, very different and what that can look like in practice and how that might affect your student experience and your academic experience as well. To also provide you with information about what support is available, specifically financial support in terms of scholarships, grants and funds to support you study in the UK and in Jamaica. And also we're really, really happy that we've been able to make this a very international event. So when it came to people who were registered, we had 60% of registered people from Jamaica and the other 40% from the UK. And one of the things that we really want to do is be able to create an environment where people from both countries are able to actually communicate and network together. So starting off with the introductions. So meet the Reconnect JA team. This is the core team. So we have myself, Rakani Phillipson, and I'm the founder, CEO and managing director of Reconnect JA. So it was something where it was my idea and I've been able to build this amazing team to kind of bring it to life. We also have Tasnim Ince, who is our monitoring, evaluation and research lead. So when it comes to the research that we've done on the Caribbean community in the UK, as well as the research that we do on how they identify and the future research we'll do and monitoring how successful our events are, that is all Tasnim. We also have Jaheem Smith, who is our Director of Partnerships and Sponsorships. So when it comes to building really strong relationships with different organizations, whether they're other non-profit organizations, whether it's a bit more academic, whether it's businesses, that's something that Jaheem really works on. And then we have Sade, who is our treasurer and deals with all of our things to do with finance, and she is amazing at that. So the reason why we're actually doing this is because everybody that you see on the screen here went to University of Cambridge, and we realized when it comes to empowering people to explore education, we realize actually there's a little bit of a gap in being able to find resources that are specifically catered to the needs of Caribbean students or students of Caribbean descent. So we thought, okay, let's make a little series where we can invite people to be able to speak on that and really empower and encourage people to explore international studies, specifically in the UK and in Jamaica. And then I've mentioned Reconnect JA a few times, but what is it for those who are new to the organization? So Reconnect JA is registered both in the UK and in Jamaica as a non-profit, and we aim to support Jamaican youth locally and globally. So what that looks like is making education as accessible as possible, whether that is sending educational resources to Jamaica, or whether that's hosting events like this evening's to empower people to actually get involved in education and pursue further education. Information as well. So we realized that whether it's, you know, you're a UK national wanting to get your Jamaican passport, or whether you're a Jamaican national interested in coming to the UK, there's a lot of information and it can be very overwhelming. So we really want to be a central point for local and global Jamaican youth to be able to come and find the information that they need. Also travel, so making traveling to Jamaica beyond being a tourist easier. So whether that's you want to engage in kind of volunteer tourism, eco-friendly tourism, volunteer tourism, whatever it may be, we want to be able to support you with that as well. And volunteering, so creating a streamlined process for young people of Jamaican descent in the UK to be able to go to Jamaica and either volunteer or engage in internships. So as I mentioned previously, we do have four different universities represented this evening, and on the screen we have some of our UK representatives, so I will just allow them to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Jo Power. I'm from the University of Glasgow, from the International Student Recruitment Team, and I'm accompanied by my colleague Christine White. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Jo. I'm Dr. Christine White. I'm a lecturer in global history at the University of Glasgow, and I convene the master's degree in reparatory justice, which is jointly run with the University of the West Indies.
Hi, hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Ike Mesut Nkero team, representing University College Birmingham here in the UK. Nice to meet you all.
And thank you so much for introducing yourselves. And the reason why we also wanted to, we specifically chose these universities is because we realized when we were researching all the different UK universities, is we found that all of these have amazing provisions for Caribbean students, whether that is through courses, whether that is through scholarships, whether that is even location-wise. So we just wanted to, again, showcase the diversity and showcase what is on offer through University of Glasgow and University College Birmingham. And then on the Jamaica side, we have representatives from University of West Indies, Mona, and University of Technology, Jamaica as well. So I will allow all of you to represent yourselves, again, starting with Ms. Kerry Ann White.
Hi, good afternoon. I am Carrie Ann White. I am Director of Student Recruitment at the University of Technology, Jamaica.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vikisha Allen, and I am the Medical Elective and Administrative Secretary in the International Student Office here at the University of the West Indies.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tashika Taylor. I am Head of Student Recruitment for the University of the West Indies in Jamaica.
Yes, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Dave Goss, the Director of the Institute of Caribbean Studies. I'm here at UWI Mona.
And thank you so much again for introducing yourselves. And then in terms of next steps. So we have some of the essentials. So this is the point where if you do want to kind of make notes, we're going to go right into kind of what is necessary to apply to different institutions at different levels. And as I mentioned previously, this will all also be available as a recording, and we'll also be sharing some links in the chat as well as links afterwards in an email as well. So things to consider when you apply to different universities, and these apply to both UK and Jamaica, and in fact anywhere in the world. So first of all, your grades. So in the UK context, your grade requirements can vary vastly depending on the university and the course. So the lowest that I was able to find was 2 Ds at A level, which would be the equivalent of like 2 Cape grades, level D. But that university is kind of quite far away and quite isolated. And then if you wanted to go to somewhere that was like Oxford or Cambridge, then that would be like 3 A stars. So it can vary very vastly. And also for what I found for University of Technology and also for University of West Indies is that typically what's needed is 5 GCSEs of passing grades, as well as A levels of passing grades, at least 2. And again, that varies dependent on the course as well. So it's really important to make sure that when you find a course that you like, or you have an idea of a course that you like, you're really looking on that website and making sure that you've got all the information there and reaching out for support if you can't find that information. At postgraduate level, it's a bit more standardized. So for most degrees, you will need an undergraduate degree of a 2.2 or higher, with some requiring an upper 2.1, which is the equivalent of, let's say, a 2.1 to 3.7 GPA if you use a GPA. And also at postgraduate level, one of the differences is that when you are applying, some courses will require you to kind of submit either a personal statement or a sample of work or a research proposal on top of the other things like showing that you're able to finance it, any visa requirements. So also just be aware of that as well. And then another key thing that I feel like is often overlooked is looking at opportunities and yourself beyond academics. So looking at yourself as a person and be like, okay, what is my commitment level and what are my preferences and my teaching style? So if you're at a university where actually, you're at a university that is a bit more like hands-off in their approach, maybe that's something where actually you need something that's a bit more hands-on. Or if you're at a university where it's very academically rigorous and maybe you don't have that commitment level, or that's something that goes against your teaching style. So it's being aware of those sorts of things, as well as your life goals, extracurriculars, career goals, and networking opportunities. So there's some universities that will, let's say, have a bit more of a humanities focus, or universities that have a bit more of an arts focus. So if that's something that you maybe didn't realize before applying, that's why it's so important to look very in-depth when you're applying to universities to make sure that it aligns well with what you want to do life goal wise and career wise. And then finances as well. So when it comes to finances, every university is different, but it's something to also be aware of and consider when you apply, especially because let's say you're in an area which is a bit more in a city compared to a university that is a bit more of a rural area or a university town. That's something that can really drastically affect your living costs, accommodation costs, especially in the UK context as well. And just to really show the examples of how different it is at the undergraduate level in the UK. So you can do the same course, and the example that we have here is doing a bachelor's in history. And that bachelor's in history, if you did it at somewhere like LSE, London School of Economics and Political Science, then you would need at least several GCSEs, grade 7 or above, and then you would also need 3 A's at A level. Whereas if you went to somewhere like Nottingham Trent, then you would actually need BCC or 2 B's and a C. So it can vary vastly. Whereas once you get to postgraduate level, it's something where actually it's fairly similar in terms of what is needed. So we've thought a little bit about what's required in terms of thinking about things before you actually apply. But what is the timeline? How organized do you need to be? So for the undergraduate system in the UK, everything is done through UCAS. I think there is a small fee to be involved in UCAS, to sign up through UCAS. And I believe off the top of my head is around £27. But do not quote me. And that's a link that I'm sure Tara will be sending in the link shortly. And in terms of what you should be looking for. So once it gets to the end of April, that's where the search tools actually open and you can look for your courses. And then registration will open more in May. You can actually start to submit your applications on the 2nd of September. But between then, that's where you need to be searching for what courses you're interested in. Maybe attending virtual open days if you're able to. Sending emails to maybe people in the different departments to, again, try and set up maybe some meetings to see, is this the right fit, or ask any questions you may have as well. And also potentially be looking into any scholarships and funds external from what the university can provide. And then in terms of the applications, so if you were specifically looking at Oxbridge, or if you were looking at doing a medical degree, dentistry or veterinary sciences, October 15th is the deadline for all of those. And again, that is pretty much UK wide. So please be aware, if you want to do something like medicine, dentistry, veterinary, then that is the deadline, 15th of October at about 6 p.m. UK time. And then what they do with UCAS is they have equal considerations application deadline. So that is the 14th of January. So if you submit at any time between the 2nd of September to the 14th, that is where actually it will all be considered equally. And so that's the main deadline you should be concerned with. Whereas after that, that's where things change ever so slightly. So the 26th of February, is when you get extra choices. So if you haven't received an offer in that little gap between when the applications have started and when you submitted, as long as you submitted by the 14th of Jan, that's where, if you haven't had an offer, you can add more spaces, because you can initially only apply to 5 universities. And then there's a standard application deadline of the 30th. And then anything after that is counted as clearing. So this is something to be very aware of as well. And I think, was there something that wanted to be mentioned about the process? Please feel free to raise it.
I don't have anything extra to add, but I've shared the UCAS link in the chat.
Okay, sorry, I thought I saw a comment. Sorry about that. No problem. And then for postgraduate, that's where it's slightly different. Well, in fact, very different. So it's a bit more, it again, varies very much dependent on the different universities. But if you were to try and think of things a bit more generally for those who feel like they might be overwhelmed by looking at all the different universities and the different dates, the thing to remember is that September and October is where most postgraduate applications open. But you can obviously look at the courses beforehand, but that's when you could actually start getting the ball rolling on actually applying somewhere. And then once it gets to April and August, between that date is where most UK postgraduate scholarships and applications open for those scholarships as well. So that is both externally and internally. But when you apply somewhere, the university will have their own systems of actually being able to kind of look at what you've submitted and put you in the direction and process you to internal scholarships. So that's always nice when you have something come up that you didn't necessarily apply for, but actually went through the university. And then when it comes to June and July, that's where most postgraduate applications close, and the traditional academic year starts end of September, maybe the start of October as well. But the thing to bear in mind, just because every university is different, especially at postgraduate level, and there's no real standardized kind of deadlines and timelines like undergraduate, is that the general rule is to apply at least 6 months before your course begins. And especially as international students, you want to be applying potentially before that, just to give you a bit more time in terms of meeting the conditions of your offer, as well as that meeting any visa needs, visa requirements. The best practice is also to apply as soon as possible if you are interested in scholarships as well, because a lot of scholarships are first come first serve, or they're merit based, or it's something where it will be a tiered system. And there's also, again, like I said, there's no standardized or fixed timelines or deadlines for some postgraduate courses as well. So that's another thing to be aware of. So it can be a thing where actually, if the spaces are there, it can go beyond the timelines that we've just discussed as well. And some examples just to really just hone in on the differences, especially at postgraduate level. So I have 3 examples on the screen, and you can see in the middle, University of Manchester, the applications open September or October, but then there's no official or standardized application deadline at all. It is just once the spaces are gone, the spaces have gone, and and your applications are reviewed on a bit of a rolling basis. And then when we look at University of Glasgow, it is something where there's different rounds of applications. So there's up to 6 rounds, and with the first 2 rounds from October to December 16th, that's where actually everyone is assessed equally. There's no prioritization of anybody. And then once you go past the 17th of December, that's where underrepresented regions are prioritized. So, you know, depending on when you apply can really affect your chances as well. And then at Queensberry, we have loads of different deadlines. So we have deadlines for accommodations. We have deadlines if you're specifically an international student, which is the 1st of September. Deadlines for meeting the offer conditions as well, which is the 8th of September as well. And then deadlines for also CAS, which I believe is a number that is needed when you get your student visa. And then moving on to the Jamaica side. So when it comes to the application timeline on the Jamaica side, it is a little bit more standardized, both in terms of undergraduate and postgraduate as well. And the main thing to bear in mind is the 1st of October is kind of early bird application period, and that's specifically for University of Technology, for UTech. And then from the 1st of November to the 31st is like the general 31st of January, sorry, is the general application period. So any applications then are kind of looked on the standard kind of assessed on like a 4-week basis. So you'll apply, and then within 4 weeks, you should hopefully have some kind of response. And then between the 1st of December and the 28th of February, you have your first wave of responses, again, in line with those 4 weeks. And that's the same for both University of Technology Jamaica and for University of West Indies Mona. And there's also this period of extended applications. So if there's anywhere where actually there's additional spaces and people are yet to apply and they've maybe missed that first deadline, there's an opportunity to kind of apply in that time as well. So that's between the 1st of Feb and the 31st of March. But the general deadline is the 31st of March as well. And then again, the second wave of responses, because it is now past the deadline, the response rate can just take a slightly bit longer. So that's where you hopefully be getting your responses by the 14th of May latest. So we spoke about the applications, but what is actually required within these applications? So here on the screen, you have an exhaustive list of what supporting documents might be needed with your application. And again, every university is different, every level is different as well. So if you're applying to something like medicine, dentistry, veterinary sciences, then it will be something where a personal statement in the Jamaican context will be needed, which isn't needed within most other courses. If it's something where, let's say you're trying to do a postgraduate in something that is a bit more research-based, maybe humanities, that's where maybe a research proposal would be needed as well. But what will happen is when you look on the university's page, it should have it very, very clearly stated, if not there, also on the portal when you actually make your first tangible steps to applying and submitting your work. And then the other thing to bear in mind is the very last one, which is financial documents. So when you apply internationally, a lot of the time what will be needed is something to be able to evidence that you can afford to study at the university. So it will be most likely one of the conditions of actually being accepted into the university is the university giving you a number of how much it will cost, and then being able to show through whether it's scholarships, whether it's savings, whatever it may be, but being able to show that you can actually finance that. Oh no. Right. And the things to showcase in your application really are all on the screen here. And a lot of them are very intuitive. But the ones that I really, really want to focus on are the last two, which are your future goals and your passion and dedication. So when it comes to your future goals, they already know that you have the ability that will come through in your grades. And maybe you would have already showcased that you have achievements beyond academia. But when it comes to the future goals, this is something that is really key, especially when you're applying to a university in a different country, because it's showing them why this is the course for you and this is the institution for you. So is it that they've engaged in a piece of research, or they have a partnership that really aligns with something that you want to research? Is it that they have a course that is actually offered nowhere else and that's the only place you can do it? And you're showing your passion through not only knowing this information, but also through your personal statement as well. So that those two are two that to really make yourself kind of stand apart from others who are applying. And then this section is just a little general Q&A. So if anybody in the audience did have any questions about anything, please feel free to ask them either in the chat, or you can just say them now.
This isn't a question, but just to highlight, ICMS has shared some really useful links for University College Birmingham in the chat. So you can check those out there as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Okay. So now moving on to the diversity of UK universities, and then after that we'll move on to the diversity of Jamaican universities as well. So it may be something that you already realized or something that you didn't realize, but when it comes to the UK, there's so many different universities. There's literally hundreds of universities. So it's something when you're thinking about applying to university in the UK, if your goal is just to kind of study in the UK, making your choice is something that's really key, making a choice that actually aligns well with you. So the things that can affect what the university looks like, what that student experience is like, is everything that you see on the screen. So if it's a university that's one of the older universities, it's going to have a really rich history that kind of affects university traditions and potentially also then affects its reputation. If it's a university that had its origins and its beginnings in a specialism, then that could be something that actually is still present today. Or it could be something where actually it has that specialism and then it's a newer university. So, and then in terms of the look of the university, it feels more modern. Maybe it's an open campus. The university identity is different, and then it attracts students, a student body and a student community that is very distinct. And also the location. So thinking of the facilities in and out of universities as well. So if you're someone who's used to an urban area and that's something that you're used to, that's something that makes you feel like home, you're used to having everything on your doorstep, being in a university that's maybe in London or in Glasgow in a bigger city is something that's going to be really key for you and something that can really affect your student experience. On the other side, if you're someone that likes to have everything in one place in more of an immersive setting, so thinking like a Loughborough University that has a specialism or is known worldwide as a sporting university, the town reflects that. So there's loads of gyms, the campus has a lot of sports. You can just see the sporty identity of the university showcased throughout. So that's something to be aware of as well. But I want to specifically turn to our different representatives for the UK, for them to be able to not only showcase their universities, but specifically how diverse it really can be when it comes to UK universities.
Thanks very much. I'll just start by giving a bit of general information about studying at Glasgow and the kind of university we are. What I do in particular is trying to attract students from the Caribbean to Glasgow, but obviously we do a lot of recruitment of students from within the UK as well. So we're an attractive location for all kinds of students. You can see from the slide there that we've got over 140 countries represented. We're quite a large population of 43,000. So compared to a lot of other UK universities, that's quite large, not the largest. I think the largest is Manchester. But yeah, in terms of the countries represented, we have a lot of students now coming from the Caribbean. We have a total of 28 from across that region. We're getting quite a nice bit of growth in applications at the moment, particularly from Jamaica and from Trinidad and Tobago. Possibly one of the reasons for that is that we do have quite an attractive scholarship, which is only for Caribbean students. This is the Caribbean Excellence Scholarship. And what it offers is a full fee waiver. So this is quite generous for UK university standards. Often UK universities will offer a scholarship, which is actually more like a discount on what is usually quite a large fee. And we have those at Glasgow as well. So we offer like £10,000 scholarships. Fees tend to be between 28,000 and maybe 30,000 plus for us, but they vary for other universities. But what we're really happy to have for students from the Caribbean is 5 scholarships, which would give you a complete fee waiver. So nothing to pay on fees. although it doesn't, I should stress, it doesn't cover living costs. So you do have to find a way to fund living costs. And for Glasgow, we estimate living costs are around £1,300 a month, and that will be for 12 months. So remembering that the master's programme that we offer and most UK universities is just 1 year usually, with a few exceptions. So just generally with Glasgow, we're probably one of those older style universities. We have been around for a long, long time, founded in 1451. What I would say about Glasgow, and I don't know if you can tell, if you're expecting a Scottish accent, I'm actually English, but the University of Glasgow is actually quite a nice, friendly university. So it doesn't have too much of an elite feeling, despite its old buildings and cloisters, and it's got a bit of a style of Harry Potter, to be honest, but it's a very friendly place, actually. The city of Glasgow is very friendly too. So this is all relative to within the UK, but also not coming from Glasgow, I can attest to that Glasgow is a really friendly place. There's a lot of humour with the people that you meet every day. People always want to try and help you in the street if you're lost. So compared to the rest of the UK, it is known for being a very friendly city. In terms of quality, obviously we're quite high up there. We're ranked in the world top 100 in the Times and also in the QS. We're really proud to be world top 20 for sustainability at the moment on our campus too. That's something we're really, really pleased with. But I guess what you're getting with Glasgow, you're getting that Russell Group top 100. And it tends to be reflected in our fees, unfortunately. But like I said, you do have a good chance with the Caribbean Excellence Scholarship. That is only for master's students, and the deadline for this year is going to be on Monday. So I would think if anyone was thinking for this year, it might be a bit late because you do need to have an offer for your programme already. But if you're thinking about future years, we will have these scholarships for a while yet. Interesting to note that we have a similar scholarship for students from Africa. 15 of those available, over 1,000 applications for those. For the Caribbean scholarships right now, I've got 35 applications. So it's not bad when you think there are 5 available. You normally have to have a first-class degree to be considered for it. But if you meet that requirement, you've got a fairly good chance of being successful. And we usually assess students by interview for those as well. So if there is anyone on the call that's applied for that, then you should feel reasonably hopeful that you've got a good chance. I think that's where I'll probably hand over to Christine to talk about the specific programme we have with the University of the West Indies. Thanks, Christine.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jo. And so I convene and teach on the programme in reparatory justice, which is jointly run with the University of the West Indies, both in Jamaica, the Mona campus, and in Barbados, on the Cave Hill campus. And it's the first and I think only programme of its type in the world. And it's designed to really to bring together UK-based and Caribbean students to become graduate leaders in the field of reparations research, policy, campaigning, politics. We've got people working in all different kinds of fields, but all with this common goal of creating a more just and equal world in the future. And the students benefit from being involved in the research culture of 2 different sort of focused areas of research, the Centre for Reparations Research at the Mona campus in Jamaica and the Beniba Centre for Slavery Studies in Glasgow. And one of the benefits of the course being designed for specifically for this purpose of bringing together UK and Caribbean students is that, well, Caribbean students have access to UK student course fees. As you know, the international fees for UK universities tend to be higher, and that's the same, I think, for some of the UE courses. But for this course, all UK-based students and students from CARICOM countries get the home fees. There's a full fees scholarship available this year, the Annie Dunlop Scholarship in Scottish Slavery Studies, for anyone interested in studying Scotland's the impact of slavery on Scotland. And the committee that organises that scholarship is really keen for students from the Caribbean to apply to that scholarship. And it's just been released, so I don't think we've actually got any applicants yet, because it was just this week it went sort of online. And we also have two 50% fee reduction scholarships, which are the reparatory justice scholarships, which give half fees on the UK or home fee level. And yeah, and what can I tell you about the program so far? It's been running for 2 years. So the first set of students graduated last October. It's a very small graduate program, between sort of 6 and 12 students is what we anticipate every year. And so the teaching is in intensive graduate level seminars. But the students engage with a range of different types of work and research. They learn oral history interview techniques. They learn and practice sort of ethical research. So they go through a kind of rigorous ethics process. They engage with creative applications and creative interventions. They work with heritage organizations and policy and campaigning organizations in their research. And they're a really diverse group of students, not only in terms of sort of international origins, but also in terms of background and experience, because a lot of them come with work experience in this area, for example, with the with CARICOM or reparations committees. So I don't know if anyone's got any questions at all, whether now they want to ask or they want to get in touch with either Joe or I by email. We're really happy to hear from people who are interested in studying the program, and it can be really helpful to have a little chat in person or on Zoom with me or one of the other conveners at Mona or at Cave Hill, just to find out what's the best fit for you in terms of which campus you might like to study at, or what kind of research it is that you're wanting to embark on. And we try and give like a lot of structured one-on-one support to students as they're applying and sort of going through that process and thinking about what's right for them, and then in their research once they've embarked on the program. So let me just put my address in the chat as well.
No, thank you so much for that, Christine. I really appreciate it, and Joe. And I think one of the questions that I definitely have is, in terms of the reparatory justice course, the master's, what does that look like in practice? So do you, off the top of your head, what are the things that have like students have focused on, like what they research specifically? Like what does reparatory justice actually look like when it comes to studying it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I mean, the best way to answer is, to talk about the research projects the students do. So one of the students conducted a survey among Scottish young people to try and find out amongst young people what does reparations mean to them and what would they envision for a reparatory future. Another one worked on Caribbean literature. She was specifically interested actually in the literature and cultural sort of practices in Puerto Rico and how those related to Puerto Rico's kind of unique position within the Caribbean. Another one was interested in racial segregation in US cities, the sort of historical origins of that, but also how it sort of can be redressed in the future. And so it's a really interdisciplinary program. So people bring their different disciplinary focuses to this like core topic of reparations. And we try and bring in some comparative work into that. So the course that I teach called Reparations Now not only touches on the campaigns for reparations for the transatlantic slave trade and slavery, but also on kind of reconciliation efforts post-genocide, or the efforts of colonized people to argue for reparations for the British Empire. And so by looking at all these different types of campaigns and mechanisms for reconciliation and repair, we hope to be able to come to a much fuller understanding of what reparatory justice will look like.
No, thank you very much. And I think that makes it a lot clearer, like all the sorts of things that can involve as a degree. And I think just to touch on something that you did say, so you said that it's also a joint master's. So what does that mean for UK nationals studying the course? Does that mean that they have the opportunity to go to, let's say, University of West Indies and potentially still get like things like student finance support? Like, how does that work? Do you know?
Yes, so students can choose to be situated on one of the 3 campuses, so in Jamaica or in Barbados or in Scotland, but they'll receive teaching from the other 2 campuses online, and they'll be connected with the other students on those campuses, and they'll have access to the resources of the 2 different universities through the library accounts, and also access to the experts, obviously, in each campus. And for UK nationals, it's an opportunity to study at the either in Jamaica or in Barbados and still be registered with a UK university and get a UK postgraduate degree, and the same vice versa. So it sort of offers that opportunity kind of on both sides, that you get the experience of another university system, another academic culture, another set of intellectual frameworks and genealogies, but at the same time you're working on this like really focused topic, on some really focused research.
No, thank you so much. And did anybody else have any questions before we move on to the Jamaica side of things? Okay, no problem.
Thanks so much.
So now we're moving on to University College Birmingham. So if you would like to just showcase the university, and I will hand over to the University College Birmingham representative for this one.
Hi, hello everyone. Good evening once again. Of course, I'm here representing University College Birmingham. I think I'll just go straight to some perhaps like key points or perhaps unique selling points of the university. First of all, we are a university located in Birmingham. We are a modern university, not as big as the University of Glasgow, sadly. But we have 5 campuses, and we have an ultra-modern campus and with excellent teaching facilities as well. And I think our core strength would be in terms of hospitality and culinary arts. So I think for these programs, we welcome applications from all international students, including Jamaicans. We have some few Jamaican students already studying with us as well. We've had Jamaican students that have come on to the university to study, and presently now working with the university, because we are quite a small and modern university, so we pride ourselves in being more of a vocational university, because we would give you in as much as we give you the theory and teaching classroom, we also equip you, with all the skills required for the workplace. We boost ourselves to be that. And I think to this, and we have won the What's Uni University of the Year, I think twice, in 2021 and in 2022. And this is an award that's being voted by students as well. So in great choice of programs in terms of aviation, hospitality, business, data, and also to mention before now, most of our programs are being accredited by the University of Warwick, a top 10 UK university. So we are very welcoming to all Jamaican students, be the ones presently living here in the UK or the one flying in from Jamaica. To that, we have an on-campus accommodation, which is very welcoming to students should they decide to come to the university and perhaps stay on campus, because also I think being on campus being on campus accommodation is an excellent opportunity for students to get to meet people from other backgrounds. It's very diverse, and Birmingham is one of the very youngest city with the youngest population in Europe. I think well over 40% of Birmingham are under 25. and is very diverse, second biggest city in the UK, only after London. And of course, lots of other UK universities in Birmingham. So we would say that Birmingham is a very student-friendly city and very diverse. What I do tell students is if you come to study at University College Birmingham or in Birmingham, you wouldn't really feel far from home, because you get to meet a lot of people and see lots of people that, look like you, speak like you, walk like you. So I think that's that for that slide. And we have very competitive tuition fees. Our tuition fees on the average is I think £16,000. And we offer applicants up to 3 installments towards that, and then towards the payments. Then also we have excellent scholarships, which we have encourage international applicants to apply, because the scholarships are quite new. And I've left the link in the chat box for anyone who would perhaps is interested in doing that as well. I've also listed on the chat box I put a link to the Jamaican country-specific page where you could read about all the entry requirements for all levels of program. And also, we offer college degrees as well as your first degree and your master's. We do not offer research studies at all at University College Birmingham. So I don't know, if there is any question from anyone regarding University College Birmingham.
So I think a question that might not be asked now, but is a question that people will probably have, is that you mentioned that catering and culinary arts is something that I guess was in the original framework for the University College Birmingham. So I was just interested to see, how does that translate now? Is that something that is still at the forefront of what is done at the university?
Yes, most definitely. As a matter of fact, we have a Michelin 5-star restaurant on campus. So it's still very much on the forefront and key strength of the university. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, and now moving on to the diversity of Jamaican universities. And we'll be starting off first with University of West Indies. So I'll pass us over to our University of West Indies representatives.
Hello again, everyone. So the University of the West Indies is, of course, a regional university. We were actually founded in 1948. We actually came out of the University of London, which is pretty interesting, I think. We have 5 campuses, and we currently serve 18 Caribbean countries. Our 5 campuses, we have a location in Jamaica. So our Mona campus is in Jamaica. We also have a campus in Barbados, in Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua and Barbuda, and we have our global campus, which is our online and professional arm. For the UA Mona, in Jamaica, we have 2 locations. So we're located in Kingston, in the capital city, and in the second city, in Montego Bay as well. The University of the West Indies is ranked currently as the #1 university in the Caribbean, and we are ranked among the top 1.5% of best universities in the world. We have produced Olympic gold medalists. We've produced multiple Nobel Prize winners. We have also produced the most Rhodes Scholars from the Caribbean, and 18 current or former heads of government. At UA Mona, we ensure that we ground your academics in your Caribbean identity. So you'll get that here. In addition to that, we have a robust out-of-classroom learning experience. So we have over 100 clubs and societies. You get access to a private beach. You get access to our property in the Blue Mountains, or close to the Blue Mountains. We also give you that opportunity to be able to explore other Caribbean islands as you take on your studies. And of course, we have very impactful internationally recognized research that we do. We have, as you can see on screen, globally recognized degrees. All our degrees, we are actually institutionally accredited, so all our degrees are recognized globally. So you're able to have a University of the West Indies degree and move on to further studies anywhere or work anywhere right across the globe. We also have high quality teaching and learning. We have a wide selection of programs. We have over 300 program options from undergraduate all the way up to postgraduate level. And we offer those across 8 faculties. 7 of those faculties are located on the Mona campus. So we have our Faculty of Science and Technology, social sciences, law, medical sciences, engineering, sport, humanities and education. That's 7, right? Yes, I did say law. And our food and agriculture faculty is actually located in Trinidad and Tobago. So we do offer over 300 program options across those faculties. We are an authentic Caribbean university rooted in Caribbean culture and activism. And of course, you will be coming home. If you're going to study at our Western Jamaica campus, you are able to study with the ocean view. So you're able to study by the beach side. So I think that is a pretty great advantage. We also have 11 halls of residence. So you are able to stay on hall. 9 of those, well, 10 of those are on the Mona campus, and 1 of those 10 is specifically for postgraduate students. And we have an accommodation available for you at our Western Jamaica campus as well. So you do have options when you come to UA Mona. We invite you to attend our open house that usually happens in November. And we also have weekly campus tours that we offer where we're able to, once you let us know that you're interested, we're able to set up programming specifically for you based on the program of interest that you have. And you get to come on campus, you get to see the campus, get a feel of the campus, see how it works, understand whether it is that, this will definitely suit what you are looking for. So we offer that for you as a good perk, I'd say. What I will also do, we have Vakisha Allen here, who is from our International Students Office. And I know that she would have information specifically for you. So I'm going to just turn over to her really quick to share with us. Vakisha?
Thank you, Tashika. So for our international students, we do provide, we have a pre-orientation session that we do that is specifically geared towards our international students. We have these pre-orientation sessions closer to the beginning of the semester. And we also have an orientation session for our regional and international students. We also provide our students, we assist with the extension of stay. So most students who are UK residents, when they come to Jamaica, you are able to stay for, I think it's up to 3 months. However, if you're coming as a full-time student, you would need to have your status as a student regularized, which we call the extension of stay process. And so we aid you in that process. That process is done by our Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency, but we facilitate the process by providing you with your status letter and your guidance as how to complete the form and submit it to the office. We also provide you with information on how to get a TRN, which is our tax registration number, which you will need if you would like to open a bank account once you're settled on campus, because sometimes the conversion rates when you have a UK bank account versus a Jamaican bank account, it's difficult for sometimes to have those transactions. So it's best to have Jamaican bank account where you can just transfer the funds once and then you can pull from that account. We do have several banks here on the campus, so you wouldn't have to go far to open your account. Our office is always open to assist students, as Tashika pointed out, who would be able to get accommodation on campus. However, there's also off-campus housing that the lodgings office will help you to find as well. Okay, that's about it.
Okay, perfect. And I think one of the things that I just really want to hone in on is what Tashika mentioned about at University of West Indies, it being an institution that has a homely feel, a home-like feel, but also an authentic Caribbean feel, and that's reflected in some of the academic courses that they offer. Some of the institutions within University of West Indies, for example, the Centre for Reparations.
Reparations.
It's basically that's based at University of West Indies as well, even though there's actually something that is commissioned by CARICOM. So when you're at University of West Indies, it's something that actually you're not just at a university, there's so many other things going on around you. But I also want to just pass the baton over to Dr. Goss, who is the director for the Institute of Caribbean Studies and Reggae Studies, to really just hone in, especially as a UK national of Jamaican descent, some of the courses that you can get involved with, what that department looks like. So passing over to you, Dr. Goss. Okay, so when it comes to the Institute of Caribbean Studies and Reggae Studies, it is something that is actually very interdisciplinary. So I know from the conversations that I've had with Dr. Goss, as we have an informal relationship, the Reconnect JA organization and the Institute for Caribbean Studies, I know that it's something where, you know, they'll support students, let's say, if they are interested in, you know, nutrition and the cultural elements of nutrition, which you can also see reflected on the undergraduate level course, Rastafari, ITEL, Liberty, and socio-economic justice. Also, it's something that goes into media studies and music, which you can see throughout both the undergraduate and postgraduate level as well. And I think one of the things that I love is that it's something where not only are you learning something academic, where it's actually something where you're learning about yourself as well and your culture as well. And, you know, brand Jamaica is something that is huge. It's something that's known throughout. It's something that is capitalized by others. So it's important to make sure that we have this deep understanding of Jamaica, of the Caribbean, of the identities that it fosters. And I know, especially in the UK context, from my own experience as a student of Jamaican descent and also somebody who leads this organization, that we are often contacted by persons of Jamaican descent who have done research on, let's say, I know one person who's doing research, a thesis on the relationship between Jamaica and China economically. I know somebody who did their research on the politics and power behind reggae music and Jamaican music. And that's something where actually, you know, if that's something you're keen and passionate about, being able to do, even if it's just a study abroad one term at University of West Indies and tap into these courses, it can be a real game changer. So if anybody had any questions, this would be a great time to ask them. But I think one of the questions that I would love to just start off with is, you've mentioned as a UK national, you have, you know, 3 months in Jamaica, and then you need to you'll need to get an extended stay. But what would be great to discuss is that what about for those who are dual citizens like myself, or those who could be able to access Jamaican citizenship? Is that something that might change the fees in any way?
Yes, that does change the fees. Once you're able to provide us with a Jamaican passport for your application, or as certificate of citizenship, then that would change your fees. So you would now be applying as a citizen of Jamaica and not an international student.
And if I may just add, so the difference in fees, I think, is quite significant, applying as a local versus as an international student. So tuition would be generally about £11,000 per year. As a local student, it would be about £1,700, £1,700 per year. So you can see that the difference is quite significant. So once you're able to access that naturalization document or your passport, as Vikisha said, then you can get access to that local rate.
No, thank you so much for that. And that's definitely a big bonus. That's something that's great to know. And I think another question that I also had was specific to University of West Indies. So we'll touch on this later when we speak on scholarships and funding and the funding opportunities. But for those who would be interested in doing, let's say, a semester abroad, or a semester abroad, but maybe their university doesn't have University of West Indies as an option for that, is there anything that they can do, whether it's contacting their university or contacting you, to be able to organize a study abroad independently, or does there have to be some sort of university partnership, to your knowledge?
Okay, we do have an exchange program for our students where they're afforded the opportunity to spend 1 or 2 semesters abroad. I think it's limited to, so I think law and engineering are the faculties that law, engineering, and medicine have limitations, but the other faculties, once you're in those faculties, the opportunities are open to you. There's a GPA requirement. You have to maintain, I think, with a 3.0 GPA or higher. And you must be a full-time student, and you can only go in your second year. So you have to complete at least 1 year of study before you are afforded that opportunity. And we do have the list of the partners that we engage with for this exchange listed on our International Student Office website. So if persons are interested, they can check out that site to see the countries that they can go to. They just need to find the programs, because it's a matching system. So the programs that they're doing at that university must be equivalent to the course that they're doing here to complete their program.
Yes.
My apologies. My screen went and I couldn't find the mic. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
But could I just for half a minute just to say that at the Institute of Caribbean Studies we have 3 separate undergraduate degrees: one in music, a second one in what we call the culture and creative industries, and the third one it's called ESEM, but it's really entertainment and enterprise management. So we train the entrepreneurs, purchasing events management and other kind of management in the music entertainment industry. And at the graduate level now we have an MA, an MPhil, and a PhD, all in cultural studies. So this is the home of Caribbean culture. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. And because of time, I will move on. But I think what we'll do is we'll make sure to include email addresses of all the representatives in the little pack that we make after the series is done, so you're able to follow up with any questions as well. But now moving on to our other Jamaica representative, so representative for University of Technology, Jamaica. So passing on to Ms. Carrie Ann White.
Hi. So I'm going to start by saying, especially for those who are of Jamaican descent, that our name was the College of Arts, Science and Technology in 1958. So some of the younger persons, the parents might recognize that name instead of the University of Technology, Jamaica, because we gained university status and our name was then changed. Now we consider ourselves Jamaica's National STEM University because we offer state-of-the-art labs, research opportunities, and we do a lot of collaboration with industry, especially in the STEM areas. We're talking about engineering, computing, math, and the sciences as well. Our university, in terms of global recognition, we have institutional accreditation, and we also have accreditation and recognition from different professional bodies. For example, the Commonwealth Association of Architects. We have the only architecture school in the English-speaking Caribbean, and it's well-rounded. We have students not only from the Caribbean coming into the Caribbean School of Architecture, so that's an area that persons might be interested in. In terms of our degree programs at UTech, we are known for work-ready graduates. Our graduates all have hands-on experience in all the degrees that we offer, and including industry experience as well. And so we offer over 100 courses of study at the undergraduate and undergraduate level in our 8 colleges and faculties. We're talking about the College of Business and Management, College of Health Sciences, the Faculty of Education and Liberal Studies, Faculty of Engineering and Computing. We have the Faculty of Law. We have the Faculty of Science and Sport, and the Faculty of the Built Environment. So pretty much our 8 areas or over 100 courses of study. Our sports, our excellence in sports area, we pride ourselves as, sorry, can I get the next slide, please? We pride ourselves as the home of world-class athletes, and we offer excellent training facilities and opportunities for our students to pursue competitive sports alongside their studies. We have several Olympic medalists. We have several sporting disciplines at UTech that our students can participate in as well. In terms of career advancement, I mentioned before, we have a strong industry partnership, including our alumni network, and we have alumni, a lot of business leaders and entrepreneurs. And because of this, our students gain valuable internship, mentorship, and just job placement opportunities as well. Our programs at UTech are highly quality at affordable cost. And I must mention that we do have a different fee for Jamaican students from international students. As long as you can get your Jamaican passport and prove your citizenship, you can then claim the Jamaican tuition, which is almost 80% cheaper than the international student tuition. We boast ourselves with having a technology innovation center. We are big on entrepreneurship. So we include entrepreneurship in all our courses of study. So we encourage all our students, whether you're an engineer student or a pharmacy student or a nursing student, you get to do courses in entrepreneurship. We have a university minor in entrepreneurship now because we want all our students to get involved in entrepreneurship and innovation. Our student support system is also big, financing, placement, medical center, student life, halls of residence, just a mixture of a cultural experience is available for all our students at UTech Jamaica. We do have an international student office as well that deals with integrating international students into our student population. They'll assist them with transportation to and from the airport, assist them with their PICA, getting their stay, their extended stay if they want to study as well. And there are several clubs and societies, including one for international students, that all our students are able to participate in to enhance their student life. I mentioned before that we have a lot of partnership with industry. I mean, one I can mention right now is the one with Microsoft and with Huawei, and our students are actively involved with internship with Microsoft and Huawei if you're interested in the IT industry, in the IT, or we just launched our racing club for those who are interested in Formula racing. So we now have a racing club and it's open to all students, not just engineering students. So we do have several interesting STEM related courses of study at UTech. So I'd encourage anybody interested in that experience, that hands-on, as I say, hands-on experience. UTech Jamaica is the place to be.
No, thank you very, very much for that. And I think as well, another thing to highlight when it comes to University of Technology Jamaica is the current president, Dr. Kevin Brown, is also lived in the UK for a while.
Yes.
So it's something where actually University of Technology finds itself, whether it means to or not, supporting the UK Jamaican community. So one way I can think of that happening is there's an organization, youth-led organization called Next Generation Architecture, and that's something where actually University of Technology and that organization has been able to collectively support kind of architecture students, both as the organization being an organization that was kind of birthed from somebody who is of Jamaican descent, but in the UK, but supporting architecture students in Jamaica, also on the continent, so in Africa, and again, trying to create like a bit of a global community of young architects. So that's something that's very exciting, as well as things like the Diaspora Conference as well. So I think if it's also something where you're interested in being in Jamaica, getting a sense of what it's like to live in Jamaica, study in Jamaica, and you've got more of a STEM background, but you also want to continue to be involved in projects in the UK, I think there's definitely the opportunity and ways to do that at UTech. So I just wanted to highlight that whilst we had the time. But I think, bearing in mind the time, if there were no immediate questions, I wanted to move on to scholarships and funding. Right. So again, this is another part where it's very important, make your notes, take your pictures. So we're going to be starting off with persons from the UK wanting to study in Jamaica. So what internal scholarships are available? So if you're already using Student Finance England, which you probably will definitely do at the undergraduate level, and you might choose to do at the postgraduate level, then there is a travel grant for study abroad. So these study abroads can be optional study abroads, or they can be mandatory study abroad. So let's say you did linguistics and you had to go to a country to get immersed in the language. So what that includes is it includes your continued student finance support. So whatever support you would get if you were continuing your course in the UK, you would continue to get if you were, let's say, doing a study abroad in Jamaica, either at UE or UTech or anywhere else. It includes up to 3 return journeys as well, so 3 return flights, help with essential expenses, medical insurance, and travel visas as well. The only thing to note is that you'll be expected to pay the first £303 of expenses, and then you'll be able to kind of gain that support afterwards. And also the way that it works is for some of them, you will, for most of the time, you have to pay it first and then you'll get it reimbursed. But there's also times where you can actually just pull from a bit of money. And then also if your household earns over just under 40,000, then you'll start getting a reduction. So that's something to bear in mind as well. And you have to be spending at least a term, so at least half the academic year. Well, sorry, at least half of an academic term, so like a quarter of your academic year in the country as well. And the UK has to be your permanent residence, country of residence. And then also what we managed to find is we managed to find 2 external fund scholarships, which was a very pleasant surprise, I have to say. So we have the British Foundation for the University of the West Indies. So this is a UK foundation that promotes the presence of the UK and supports the University of the West Indies in its educational endeavours. And we'll touch a bit more on that in a moment. And then also Turner's grant search engine, which if you have been in any of the other events, you will know that the Turner's search engine is a search engine that allows you to use your postcode as well as other personal details, like if you have a different ability, your educational sector, your work background. And what that search engine will do is it will tell you about all of the local and national grants, funds and scholarships that you are eligible for. So you might think, oh, there's going to be nothing that I'm eligible for, or it's going to be insignificant. But for some of these, for example, when I've used it, I found one £500 for being a vegetarian from the Vegetarian Society. And loads of little ones where they're £500 here, £250 there. And then when you're tapping into multiple ones of those, it can really add up and be something that can be really useful when you are, let's say, already covered your tuition and your accommodation, but it's actually the living expenses of books and a laptop and food. And it's something that also your permanent address does have to be a UK postcode for the majority of the time, but it is something that you can use when you are out of the country as well. So going a bit more into the British Foundation for the University of West Indies. So there were 2 scholarships that I found, but what I would highly recommend is if this is something that is of interest to you, please get in contact with a Miss Herbert and you can contact her at the Barbados High Commission in London. So that is a UK number as well, so a bit more accessible. And then we'll also include the email and the number in the guide that we make as well, and we'll email to all of those registered for the event. So the Windrush Scholarship, to access that, you have to be enrolled in a UK university at any level. You have to also be able to prove your Caribbean descent. So what this might look like is this might be getting your parent or your grandparent or your great-grandparents' birth certificate to prove that they're of Jamaican descent, and then being able to track it from there through your birth certificate as well. And what this looks like in terms of the support that's actually available. So there's a course fee waiver as well as £5,000 towards a semester. And that £5,000 is something that can go towards living expenses as well. So that can be very useful. And then there's the general scholarship as well. So again, similar to the other one, this is open to all courses. You do have to prove that you're of Caribbean descent. And again, it is a course fee waiver, but this one is specifically for up to 3 years, so up to the standard undergraduate level. And then there's access to funding throughout the course. And for this one, it's only 1 scholar per Caribbean country. So they'll have a Jamaica representative, a St. Kitts representative, Barbados representative for each country. So it's 1 per country. And like I said, for all this information, this is information that we did find online and that we were able to somewhat verify, but I would highly recommend, if you're interested in any of it, again, contacting Miss Herbert from the Barbados High Commission. And then moving on to Jamaica scholarships. So these are funds going to the UK. So there's three kind of internal funds that you have to think about. So as we mentioned right at the start, when you are applying to UK universities, some of them will have scholarships where it's actually internally managed. So you will submit your some financial details. There'll be some details about your demographics, and then the university may have access to different scholarships where they have to apply to you those scholarships on your behalf rather than you being able to fill out a form yourself. And for some universities, they also have standardized bursaries. So if you can prove that, let's say, your household is under a certain threshold, you might get financial support. Like some universities give 500 per term, some it's 1,000 per term. It really depends on your financial need and what university you are at. So that's something to bear in mind as well. And then college scholarships and funds. So if you are going to one of the few UK college universities that has a more college system rather than being an overarching larger institution, then your specific college will have scholarships and funds that you may be able to tap into as well. So I wanted to give a couple of examples of what this looks like, but I think they have already been discussed previously. So University of Glasgow has loads of different financial support available for Caribbean students specifically. And again, that has already been discussed. But going to University College Birmingham, so they have a few different ones, and again, ones that I don't think had been discussed as much. So for example, the High Achievers Scholarship. So this one really stood out because essentially it's an opportunity where if you are on an undergraduate course and within your first term, you excel, so you get basically first class, so 70%, you get a 30% reduction. If you go 35%, you get, I think it's a 50% reduction. And if you can get grades that average out as 80% in your first term, then you will get your course fees waived for the first year. So it really kind of, if you put the work in, then it's something where there's literally financial reward for it, which I thought was very interesting. And there's also an early action scholarship. So again, if you're really proactive and you're able to pay the funds, the course fees before the actual deadlines, then depending on how early and what level of course, what level of degree you are paying for, then you have the chance of getting up to £5,500 off your course fees as well. And then, as was previously mentioned, international scholarships with awards up to £2,000 as well. And all of these are for all levels as well. And then on the Jamaica side, so scholarships and funding. So there were a few different ones. And again, few of these are ones that you will recognize from previous events. So the British Council search engine and the Commonwealth Scholarship search engine. So both of these are search engines where basically if you pop in Jamaica as your country of residence, the level of study that you're interested in, it will come up with all of the eligible funds, whether they're funds, grants and scholarships that you can access. And the British Council one is open to all levels, undergraduate, masters and PhD, as well as postdoc, I believe. And the Commonwealth one specifically focuses on more masters onwards and has a couple of fellowship opportunities as well if you're beyond postgraduate, PhD level. And then the Black Heart Foundation. So with the Black Heart Foundation, this is externally managed, and it is affiliated through a foundation, so a charity, rather than something that's a bit more educational. So you can basically submit your application and it's based on specific needs, your financial need, and you can gain support for any institution in the UK or in the US. And I did get confirmation and I did verify that if you're a Jamaican national, you are able to apply to the fund as long as you're attending a university in the UK or the US. And again, that's a grant where what you would do is you would apply and you would show the deficit. So you would be able to say, okay, I got a grant or I got a waiver that was this amount for the course fee, and I got and I was able to save this amount for the accommodation, but maybe there's still a deficit of £10,000. And you'd apply to them, and depending on how strong your case is, how much you align with their different kind of like values in terms of what they're looking for and the causes that they support, then you're able to basically be able to access that money. And I believe, again, that's something that Tara might be putting that in the chat, but it's also something that will be shown on the document at the end as well. And then similarly, the Turn to Us search engine, the only thing that to be aware is that this one is slightly more limited to Jamaican nationals in the UK, simply because some of you might be eligible in theory, but in practice, some of the grants will have conditions where it says that the postcode that you use will have to be a permanent postcode, but others might not. So it's still definitely worth having a try and really good to cover the deficits that you might get in the middle of the academic year. And what I was going to do is I was also going to just show you what these look like in terms of that British Council search engine and that Commonwealth Scholarships Commission search engine. But for the sake of time, what I will do is I'll just make sure to send you the links. And the websites are very intuitive. They're very easy to kind of use. But I just wanted to really kind of showcase the fact that there are plenty of scholarships available. So at undergraduate level, we found 658 scholarships from 143 from across 143 UK institutions, and the only time where that really dipped, as you can see at the postgraduate level, there was only 8, and all these scholarships are very different with different levels of generosity. And then for the Commonwealth scholarships, again, mainly at postgraduate only, but these scholarships are also open to all UK institutions, university institutions. So it's something where actually whatever university that you're interested in going to, as long as you kind of have your offer, you can apply to this and then kind of go from there. Whereas with the British Council ones, it's university specific. So just be aware of that small difference as well. And then a final Q&A session, and I'll also open the floor to if there's anything that any of the representatives wanted to share that they weren't able to share previously, or they wanted to elaborate on. This is like the final time before we say our goodbyes and end the session.
Hi, I was just going to say thank you very much for having us along, and it's been nice sharing the platform with partners in Jamaica as well, and just finding out what everybody offers to students. So thanks a lot for having us, and we'd be happy to do future sessions.
Oh, thank you very much, Joe. I really appreciate it. And honestly, the information that you and Dr. White shared, Christine shared, has been invaluable. I'm sure it's going to make a huge difference for those who are very keen on going to University of Glasgow. Yes, and I think...
Can I just say one last thing?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so I want to take the opportunity because I did not include any information about our president, and I'm happy that you brought it up because he's actually a past student of UTech. And when he left Jamaica with his diploma, he was able to start a master's program. That speaks to the quality of the courses that we offer at UTech Jamaica. So I just want to leave that there and share it in terms of our quality education. And he did a diploma in engineering as well.
And could I just say as well, thank you as well, and just to make the point as well that we do embrace summer internships. So for example, even if you're not studying here at UA Mona or UTech, but you can come for a 4 weeks or 6 weeks of immersion into the practical culture. We do carry our students when we have them to the different sessions, a real life Jamaica life, and also during the days now we have the academic sessions, and in the evenings the practical sessions. So we're inviting all our former Jamaican and Caribbean persons from here to do come back and re-engage back in the culture, academically and also experientially. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for that. And I'm sure for some people that's something where it would be great to learn more about that. So I'll definitely reach out to be able to share any materials you have or information you have in the document that we'll be making and sending to those who have registered and making available online as well. And I think a final thing that I wanted to mention, especially for those who have kind of looked through the series, have gone to the other events as well, or for those who have watched now all 3 sessions of the series. So one of the difference between this I guess episode of the series in comparison to the other 2 is that today we've had representatives from different universities, actual faculty members, and I know for the other event it was very student experience heavy. So we did have a representative who basically is kind of like born and raised in the UK, is of St. Lucian descent, and is currently a student athlete studying kinesiology at University of West Indies, and is also a member of George Elaine Hall, which I stayed in last summer, and it's a lovely accommodation, I do have to say. So what we'll do, just because she's been unable to attend today due to training and also it being kind of in terms the thick of the academic season, what we'll aim to do is we'll also aim to do some sort of series with her to showcase her experiences as a UK national who's gone to Jamaica to engage in university level study, and what her experiences have looked like. But at this time, that is everything. So I do want to just say thank you again for attending. Thank you very much for all of our amazing speakers for making themselves available, especially the ones in the UK, because I know it is very, very late, it's bedtime now, and the ones in Jamaica, for, again, making all this information so available to us, the ones who registered, the ones who'll be watching this afterwards on YouTube or on our website. And again, we'll make sure that all the information is available for them to be able to contact you and maybe attend one of your universities. But thank you very much, everyone. And I think that is the end of today's event.